like to read, Sergeant. I do. I read the crime writers. Smith, P.D. James, Ruth Randall. Your report is well written. It's precise diction, rhythmic prose, a certain aesthetic distance. Did you ever consider a career as a writer?
No, Major.
Well, judging from this, you could. You could be a writer. You could almost write fiction. Not that this is fiction, I'm just saying. If you did judge it that way, it would have value. Do you understand me?
It isn't fiction, Major.
Well, strictly speaking, that hasn't been determined yet, has it? At present, it's an accusation. An accusation is not a priori true or false. It is just an accusation you authored. And authors are judged by their merit. And should you persist in this accusation, your merit will be exposed to judgment.
I understand that.
You understand that. Well, that's good. I hope you also understand that false accusations are a very serious matter indeed. The Army does not tolerate false witness. Now, whatever happened or did not happen on the night of the incident may have been regrettable, but I do not need to remind you that ours is an imperfect world. Incidents happen.
Ma'am, it was more than incidental.
It was an occurrence. It is fair to call it an incident.
Major, is there some reason that you can't use the word rape?
That is an emotive word, Sergeant. Now, whatever happened on the night of the incident may have been regretted by you and your fellow soldier.
Soldiers.
Yes.
There were 3 of them.
Yes, that is in your report. It is a situation which you may all come to regret, and I sympathize with that. We all know how in the fog of war, soldiers are subject to a myriad of pressures, which, when combined with alcohol, can lead to circumstances of which we are not proud.
I wasn't drunk.
Really? It says here in your report that you've been drinking. That's a serious misconduct.
Yes, ma'am.
You had a drink.
Earlier that evening.
In the company of one of the same soldiers. Your superior, Sergeant Major Martinez.
Yes, ma'am. It was probably an hour before.
Nevertheless, when alcohol appears, things get cloudy. It lends an opaque veneer to the night of the incident.
A what?
An opaque veneer.
I don't think I follow you, Major.
There is an element of uncertainty, and uncertainty leads to doubt.
Ma'am, I had 1 drink earlier that evening. I wasn't feeling well, so I told Sergeant Major Martinez that I would be going to bed. I had been patrolling all day in 130-degree heat.
Yes.
And about an hour later, I got up to use the latrine, and I was attacked by Sergeant Major Martinez and Warrant Officer Romero and a man that I did not know. They held me down in the latrine where they filmed me being raped,
Yes.
and they sang a song. They were singing, "Take a chainsaw, cut a bitch in 2, fuck the bottom half, give the other half to you." Permission to take a moment, Major?
Permission granted. What I am trying to do is to get you to understand that you are exposed. You are exposed to scrutiny. Only 10% of unrestricted reports get prosecuted, and even if the men are deemed guilty, they're likely to suffer a reprimand or a slight pay cut. Nothing more. But what will happen to you may expose you to repercussions for your entire career. If the prosecution is successful, you may be exposed to the resentment of your male colleagues. If it is unsuccessful, you may be exposed to further harassment. Think it over.
Ma'am, I have thought this over. I do nothing but think it over. I would die for the guy beside me, but I don't know if that same guy isn't going to hurt me. Can you appreciate what that means? I have nightmares.
You have nightmares? What soldier doesn't have nightmares? Who do you think you are? Do you think you're special, soldier? You're not special.
Ma'am, I'm permanently dehydrated because I don't drink water in the afternoon.
You are in the Army. Jesus. When I was your age, I was stationed in Serbia. I was the only female soldier amongst 1,500 men. Do the fucking math. You are not special. Who do you think you are? You have a young daughter, am I correct?
Yes, ma'am. 5 years old.
Well, then what happens to her in all of this? You have her livelihood to consider. You have responsibilities. The Army is your family, you protect your family, and if you're hurting, you fucking man up and you deal with it. Go, think it over.
Ma'am, my grandfather was in Vietnam, and when my daddy would sit on his knee and ask him, "Daddy, what did you do in the war?" he would say, "Son, you don't want to know." And my dad, he was in Gulf War I. When he would come home, I would sit on his knee and I would say, "Daddy, what did you do in the war?" And he would look at me and he would say, "Lauren, you don't want to know." And the thing is that when they said that, they weren't making you choose between what was true and what you loved. They were keeping it simple. So when I go home and I sit my baby girl on my knee and she looks up at me with her big, beautiful brown eyes and she says, "Mommy, what did you do in the war?" I'm gonna look at her and I'm gonna say, "Baby, I did right." I did right. I will abide by your decision.
That is not what I am saying.
I know that I am not special, and your experience qualifies you to make the best decision. You are my superior. Whatever you decide to do with this report, I will abide by.
They filmed it.
My commander said that he'd seen it, but that I didn't seem to be struggling enough. He said I didn't behave like a victim.
You are dismissed.